Just three radio hosts on air dumb debating.
Indeed, it is time for the segment that we do on Wednesdays called Dumb Debates. Austin has never been here for one of these.
And I will inevitably fall flat on my face during this.
Wow, don't be so down on yourself.
Hey, set the bar low, you can only go higher from there.
I guess it's hard to argue with that.
That's
You know, I can't help but notice that during that theme song off the air, Josh sang that line about the olds.
Oh, yeah.
Ironically so.
What does that mean?
Wait.
You're the oldest person in this room.
I was talking about people older than me, Nick. Olds should go away. I'm not an old. I'm just older
You
than
do be
you.
chuggy. That is for sure.
I don't even know what chuggy means. That's a good dumb debate. At what point do you go from just being older to an old?
Ooh, good question.
I don't think I'm an old yet.
See, there's always like the conversation that people have like on the line where they're saying, "Oh, well, you know, it's when you want to stay in and you're not going out with your friends and doing that."
I
sort of
guess I'm
stuff.
old.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
But
I
think
feel like it comes in stages, right?
Right,
Like it's
yes.
not just you wake up and then you do these. Like you build up to it. Like I've started hating to stay out super late. And if I have to go somewhere and it's after 8, like what the hell? What are we doing? Going
Josh did say
somewhere at 8?
earlier, like yesterday, that he did enjoy reading his book on the deck at night, so to kind of wind down. So that sounds kind of old.
Sounds kind of relaxing.
It does sound
See,
relaxing.
but see, then we're starting to like creep into that attitude.
We are
of it,
creeping
too.
into that.
Dave says it's when your coworkers are young enough to theoretically be your kids.
Ooh.
So I got
You
some
got-
time.
you got some time.
then.
Yeah.
That's good.
What if you had kids young though?
John could be my dad. My dad and John are around this.
I do. I think Dave hits
Is
on
John
it.
your dad?
No,
Okay.
That'd be awesome.
I don't have that hair.
Daddy John. Nobody does, Nick. Nobody has.
Papa John.
I
Papa
think
John.
that's a good way to describe it because, like, you guys mentioned stages. I do remember when suddenly I was the young at the office and suddenly I wasn't anymore.
Mhm.
Where and like when Nick arrived, that changed the show, and it was like, wow, there's someone who's even like younger and like way younger than I am.
I introduced Mid to this show, by the way.
Yeah.
Nice.
And at first I was like,
What a
that's
great-
stupid. No, you didn't introduce vibes. We had said vibe before.
No,
you just
no
said
way.
it 100 times a show.
I believe in Nick. I'll
Thank
check
you.
the
Yeah,
tapes.
believe all
Good
Nicks.
vibes, Austin.
Good
Believe
vibes.
all
I
Nicks.
did introduce Mid though.
Oh.
Yeah,
Now
he did.
you and John both.
I
say
love
it
Mid.
casually.
Respect.
Respect. RESPECK.
No, just K. No
Just
C.
K.
Yeah.
Candace says, my brother's theory is that you are old when you can no longer jump without potentially injuring yourself.
When was the last
Interesting.
time you just jumped?
I honestly, I did it recently for some reason, and I don't remember why.
Did you at the race? Did you jump over the finish line?
No, because I'm by the end of a marathon, I'm always worried that I'm going to cramp, and so I don't
yes.
want to do that. So like
That's
whenever
fair.
I see somebody who wins the marathon and they like jump into their coach's arms, I'm like, ouch.
Yeah. You'd think like, oh, torn Achilles. That
Yeah.
could be me.
Ouchie Tims
Mhm.
is what I think.
Ouchie
Ouchie
Tims.
Tims.
Yeah, so you guys don't know about Tims,
Mhm.
sadly. But that's not an old thing. It's just an inside joke thing with my
Yeah.
friends. and I
Oh
just
yeah,
said
so
it on
we
the radio.
wouldn't know it. Yeah.
Yeah, very
I
nice.
guess you love
Yep.
inside jokes. You'd love to be a part of them
Mhm.
someday.
Just out in the rain, not on the inside.
Baymon says, as soon as you start talking about the good old days were better in some form, you're an old.
Yeah,
well, we
like
just
that.
were kind of doing that with college football, but
That
that
is
was
true.
more about the conferences.
Yes, right.
Not, kids, money.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't do that. I just missed conferences.
It's like
But
me
I-
and the crossover. People used to not look at their phones while they were peeing.
But listen, if you do take like a youth today, like if you take like an 18-year-old who's like really getting into Nebraska football and stuff, and he's like, oh, the team looks really good.
I'm like, you're a
whatever.
moron.
And you transport him to like 2007, 2008, you're like, no, this is college football. Like you're gonna love this.
Wow. See, because I would say go back to like 2000. That's even better.
No, that's too old.
College football on
It's
ABC,
too
the
old.
music was so good, Austin.
No,
you don't even know about how good it was.
I didn't
Actually-
love Keith Jackson calling a game was the best.
This is actually kind of interesting. How did you feel about Nebraska football in 2007?
Ooh, in 2007,
Well, they
I
sucked in
I was
07.
disappointed because they got blown out by Colorado. I was
Nice
very upset about that.
reference.
Right, but I wonder if you guys had the same thoughts on Nebraska football in
No way in hell.
2007.
Oh,
In 2007,
'Cause when you were 10
okay,
and you
you
were
ready? On 2007,
19.
in 2007, my thoughts were Joe Gans is the best quarterback I've ever seen in my life. Marlon Lucky is great. We should have not lost by 52 points to Colorado. Those are my thoughts in 2007.
Wow. My thoughts were, I did think Joe Gans was pretty good. I did not think he was the GOAT. I did not think Marlon Lucky was the GOAT. And
Mhm.
I did think the defense was garbage
Mhm.
and that Kevin Cosgrove should have been fired.
Mhm.
Maybe Bill Callahan could have saved his job.
I actually do have a Joe Gans ish. We've brought up Ravi. We actually talked about it this morning a little bit.
Yeah.
I guess this kind of maybe could be a dumb debate.
Oh, here we go. Your first one.
If Joe Gans was on the 2009 Nebraska football team, are they a national title contender?
It's been a classic. That's a great Husker, like, what if question that
Mhm.
people love doing.
Mhm.
My answer is probably no. Like, he was good, but like
Talking about Nick Saban first.
Could Joe
first
Gans have beaten Oklahoma?
They
The
didn't.
defense was so damn good, though.
But the thing is, they did beat Oklahoma that year. They were on the 2000. We're talking the 2009 team.
I meant, could they beat Alabama?
Oh, Alabama.
Could Joe Gans have beaten Alabama?
I don't think that they could have beaten Alabama.
Yeah,
but I think everything else is a lot closer, though.
Well, I mean, for sure. So the 4 losses that they had that year were Texas. They can obviously beat Texas if they have Joe Gans.
Yes.
They lost to Iowa State. They would have beaten Iowa State if they didn't turn the ball over 1,000 times.
They got blown out at home by Texas Tech.
They got blown out at home by Texas Tech.
R.I.P. Mike Leach.
Now, that game, I would also say it went sideways early, and then they were down 14-0. They were about to tie the game. There was a backwards pass that Niles Paul thought was a forward pass. Texas Tech took it, returned it for a touchdown. Suddenly it was 14-0. It was going to be tied at 7.
Thanks, Niles.
It's always been a game that could have gone differently. Virginia Tech, if they have a better offense, certainly they win the game. Now, the interesting part, though, is the defense did fail them in the Virginia Tech game. Matt O'Hanlon, Happer's least favorite player of all time. He failed them.
Why?
Because of that play.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if he's his least favorite player, but he definitely dislikes him. He failed them in that moment. I wouldn't say the defense let Nebraska down against Texas. It was more the Audie Canal kick out of bounds left Nebraska.
Right.
So, I mean, they definitely would have had
a shot. But they also could
have
have scored more than 3 or 4 field goals.
Well, I'll ask a dumb debate, 2-year dumb debate.
Okay.
Would the defense have been as good if they had a better offense? There was something about that defense knowing that every play they have to be.
Good point.
Every play was like life or death because the offense was so bad. Not that they wouldn't have been great, but they were generational.
But when did the defense realize how putrid the offense was? Because was the defense always performing up to that level?
No, they were good early. You definitely knew that they were good.
Or was it post Iowa State that the defense was then okay, if it's not going to be the offense, we've got to do this ourselves?
It's a fun question because you look at the scores of some of the games in the last half of the season, and I don't think that people would think wait, that's the generational defense. What's his name from Black Panther? This is your king. They gave up
Killmonger.
So they gave up 31 that we talked about to Tech.
Mm-hmm.
Never mind. Baylor only scored 10. Kansas scored 17. Colorado scored 20. I do think that the defense, if the regular,
I don't remember that Colorado game being that close. Is that weird? Why don't I remember?
I think Colorado scored a late touchdown.
Okay.
I think, but I guess I will throw out an opinion. I have an opinion. The defense, if the regular season was it, and that was all that we knew about Nebraska football, we would have considered that defense really, really good.
Yes,
they became what they are because of the Texas game, 100%. and then the shutout of Arizona, and that all the starters went on the field at the end because they wanted to keep the shutout.
I do vividly remember that Kansas State game because that was the game that they clinched the division, and that felt like a really big deal. And the defense was all over the place. They made a bunch of plays, but that was also a game too where the offense was
putrid,
just unavailable.
I was in the building that night, and that's always been, a sneaky loudest game I've ever been.
The K-State game,
interesting. It seemed early. It just seemed I remember my head hurting because it was so loud in the building. Because I think by that point, people were starting to say "Holy crap, they are good," and everyone hated Kansas State.
That's fair. Yeah.
Good dumb debate question.
Thank you. I tried,
Austin. Yeah. Other dumb debates questions. Let's see from Baymon. This was from a couple days ago.
Yeah.
Thinking about what you just said about your Lakers fandom made me ask myself a question. If you say you're no longer a diehard fan, were you ever really a diehard fan to begin with? Ooh. I would argue, no, you weren't. It's a one-way entrance, not exit. Your thoughts?
So I have this debate, and famously, I had a crash out yesterday because of the Carolina Panthers Super Bowl appearance.
It was a slight crash out.
Yeah, you got a little trigger.
I did have that. I didn't realize I had that in me. But I became a Carolina Panthers fan from Madden 06 with Donovan McNabb on the cover because they had the Panthers had the coolest uniforms. Jake Delhomme, I play with him. Nice. All the running backs.
And he threw 5 interceptions in that playoff game.
Thank you. I almost forgot about that. Thank you for bringing that up, by the way.
Just say anything about the Cowboys. It's okay. They exist.
But since then, I think if you are I kind of agree with what he is saying though, because to me, if you're a lifetime fan, it doesn't mean you stop rooting for the team or have interest in the team. Your interest just changes its level. Right now, the past 3 years of Panther football have been a 1 to 5% interest for me. If it's not on national TV, I'm not going to go out of my way to be I got to find a way to watch this game.
But, so you're not a diehard Panthers fan?
I'm saying I think I am a diehard Panthers fan because I don't give up on them and I don't just completely quit.
Yeah.
But there's a level to it where okay, we're in the off season and stuff right now. It's okay, do I really need to watch? Do I need to go out and look for Tet McMillan highlights from Arizona and all that sort of stuff? I don't need to do that.
Yeah. So why this came up is because I mentioned I was a diehard Laker fan at whatever year, and I was someone who in 2008, 9, 10, right? I didn't have League Pass, but if they were on national TV, in a season 40 times. Let's just say 40 in the regular season. I probably watched 30 of them.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the playoffs, I never missed a single game, to the point where I had a radio show at KRNU, and my dad would DVR the game, and I would stay away from my phone, and I would get home after my shift, and I would watch the NBA Finals on delay, which was hell.
And you can't do that with a phone now.
No, because I got to pee.
Yep.
And I got to look at my phone, obviously,
exactly,
like a normal person, Nick. So that was that I say that as a way to explain, like, here's the level of fandom, and I'm following them, I'm reading about them all the time. Whereas now, like, I want them to do well, but it just doesn't bother me. Like, it, I mean, I used to like live and die with those games, like the 2008 finals when the Celtics was terrible. And my wife has always thought that it was something about maybe you were a bigger Kobe fan than you were a Lakers fan. And I wonder if that's the case, because like he's my favorite athlete, and your favorite athlete as a kid, I can't imagine I will ever have a player that I root for as hard as I did, because I'm older than everybody now.
Yeah.
Like John asked me a question a few months ago. He's like, "Who's your favorite Cowboy?" And I was like, "I don't know." Like I want that. I just want them to do well.
Right.
I like how well Micah Parsons plays, but I don't know if he's my favorite Cowboy.
Yeah, there's like a difference between being like the fan of like the organization and the like, I don't know, the entity that it is, and also just being like, I really like that player.
Yeah.
Like that is my favorite player.
The way I explained to him was, I want them to do well. I want them to win a Super Bowl because it would give me gratification, but I would also be happy. Like, I would be happy for Dak because he's caught a lot of flack, right? It'd be cool if Micah Parsons wrecked an entire playoffs for the other offenses and just like killed everybody. Like, that would be murder. Would be so fun.
Wow, murder would be fun
on the football field legally.
Make that a quote.
So I don't know. Can you be a diehard fan if you're not or were you ever a diehard fan? Maybe the answer is no. Maybe I didn't love them as much as I thought.
But then also being a diehard fan initiates it had to begin at some point, right? Like, when did your diehard fandom begin? And so usually if you're not like born or indoctrinated into it, like if you don't have it like almost immediately as your fanship, then how can you say you're a diehard fan? Because most diehard fans are like, I've been loving this team since life.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember like actively caring about them in 01 and 02, like to the point where I remember watching Game 7 against the Kings, and I didn't want my brothers to talk to me.
Yeah.
And I was 13. Like, what an annoying person I was.
I've had this argument with like a good college friend of mine, because when the Chiefs first won their Super Bowl, he was like disheveled. Like he was crying. He was like all over the place.
Oh, that sounds like amazing.
Thank you. Yeah. And I was talking to him about it, and I was like, what would that happen for you again? And of course, like he's from rural Nebraska, so he's like a Husker fan and Chiefs fan. And he was like, if Nebraska football won a national championship, he was like, I don't know how I'd react, because that's how I reacted for the Chiefs. And he was like, the Chiefs are my second team to the Huskers.
So he likes Huskers even more. So and it's like, holy crap.
And I was thinking to myself, because we were talking about it, and I was like, man, and I see him regularly enough that I was like, we have the kind of the conversation every year because it's been brought up. And I was like, if Nebraska football this season won the Big Ten, I think I would cry. Like, I legitimately be like, I never expected that to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And I think in that sense, like if they won a national championship, I wouldn't even know what I'd do with myself.
Yeah.
Because I don't, in my mind right now, I don't see it as a fathomable possibility. Like,
I've always
see it.
I've always wondered that same thing of like, what would happen? How would I react? I've always said to people, I just want to hug my dad.
Yeah.
Like, my dad's been a fan since
I did. I'm not kidding. I was at the Colorado game. I was like sitting in like a section with like my uncle and cousins, and I shed tears like when they like won the game. And it was, or like when the game was like out of reach. And when I saw like the whole thing of Tommy Hill's interception, like I was like, I've never seen it. Like,
and that's just a regular season game.
I know, right? And so I like, clearly that's like diehard fandom. Like when it comes to that, right?
When it gives you that level of an emotion.
But in that same sense, like if the Panthers would have won Super Bowl 50, I don't really know. Like, I don't think
you would have been happy.
I would have been happy, but I don't think I would have been.
It would change your life.
Exactly.
Where a Husker natty would change your life.
Yeah.
Cowboys Super Bowl would change my life.
Yes. Yeah.
Interesting. You got something, Nick? Because I have one.
We can do yours.
Okay, this is from Pedro.
Hey, Pedro.
Hi, guys. Dumb debates question. In the movie Platoon, the guys were divided by drinkers and stoners. Do you think that is true with Generation Z?
Oh.
What does Gen Z get divided on when they're troops? Drinkers and stoners?
Wait, is he saying that, or is Generation Z still drinkers or stoners?
He's asking, is that how Gen Z splits up?
I think...
Actually, I would say yeah. I would say yes.
I don't know about stoners so much. I
don't associate myself with too many stoners. I have some stoner friends, but like I'm not in like a stoner group.
Based off of what I've seen on the internet from Gen Z.
Are they into like ketamine now?
I think cocaine has made a comeback in Gen Z.
Cocaine's back?
Stephon Diggs.
I think that is a group. I think you replace stoner with like a cocaine person. I don't know what
A
you
cocaine
call
bear?
somebody who uses cocaine.
A cocaine user.
A cokehead.
Sure.
A Coke.
Cokehead, actually.
I think there's a difference between cokehead and a coke user.
A Coca-Cola?
Oh, yeah. A cokehead is, you're in deep.
Yeah.
A cocaine user is a person.
I hear cokehead and I think about that show on HBO.
The Wire?
Yes.
They were doing heroin.
I know they were doing heroin, but like that's
But I think of cocaine.
Yeah.
Fair.
the vision I get.
No, they were down bad.
I think you could separate them into two different types of groups if you wanted
What
to.
are those?
iPhone and Android users. If you so
Oh,
choose. Yeah.
nice.
That'd be
Cool
tough.
and uncool.
Exactly.
We know which
Basically
one
the
is
same.
which.
Yeah.
Yeah. What does Gen Z drink? Jordan says drinkers and druggies.
Yeah, that's probably good. I think
Drinkers
Gen
and
Z-
druggies is actually probably the most accurate, I would think.
See, it's always
because-
interesting because everyone says Gen Z just stays on their phones, but they go outside still and drink
and
sometimes.
Nick has probably seen this meme floating around of some people that
A
are
meme?
like a meme.
I like memes.
The meme that floats around of
These
being
are good
like,
memes.
oh, this is like I don't drink and all these bad reasons, and then they're like, but I do
Cocaine.
Yes,
Uh-huh.
exactly.
Interesting.
And it is there is like I actually know many people that are like that, like legitimately that will
Wow.
do like
What's that
very
thing called? Is
hard
it called
drugs.
straight edge?
No.
Not with cocaine, but isn't straight edge a thing?
Straight edge is a thing, but that's like that's just like they don't do like any drinking or drugs.
Yeah,
or
that's what I was
whatever.
talking
Okay,
about.
I thought
Yeah.
you were talking about like California sober. Or
No, I know what that is.
Miami sober
Yep.
is what I call people
Right.
who do coke but don't drink.
Yeah.
I like that.
Thank
That's
you.
wild to be
Yeah.
like drinking is bad for you. I'm going to do cocaine.
Yeah.
I can't imagine.
I don't understand it either.
Cocaine is
Like,
scary.
I enjoy some drinks, but I am getting up there like to the old age.
Oh God, we're
I'm
two
getting into
beers
it
and you're
old.
like, oh, I feel like crap.
I definitely don't drink as much anymore.
Good shout out.
I also don't like hard alcohol. It's just not for me anymore. Just like, give me my beer. Call it a
KG
day.
says no such thing as leftover cocaine.
Respect.
Fight says it's legends and leaders. That's how we split up Gen Z. Good reference.
That's a
Dave.
good one. I like that.
Nick, did you have one before we go to break?
I do.
What is it?
Would you rather meet a genie who can grant you one big wish or a genie who can grant you 3 small wishes every single day?
What define small wishes?
Yeah. How
So,
small is
like
wishes?
no traffic today or something like
No,
that.
I feel
Or
like
I
that's
only
a
get
big one.
green lights.
I think a small
a better
one would be
microphone
like
for my at-home studio.
yes, that's a small one.
Whoa,
Or
but then
that's
he can
that's
use
like
it-
$200.
up to a certain like price point, right?
But then he could use it every day. So does that count? Or would every day he'd have to wish for the same microphone?
Oh no, it counts. Like it can, like if you wish for a microphone one day,
I
you
have it
still have the
forever?
You
microphone.
still have the microphone.
Wow.
But like,
Could I just ask for $400 every day?
no,
That's essentially
so, like,
what it is, though.
A small wish would be like a $20 gift card, you know, or like
Or $200
food from
microphone.
a restaurant, like one of your favorite restaurants, or a big
Every-
wish
every
like
day?
stopping war or ending world hunger.
Or my student loans go away?
Yeah, that'd be a big one.
Yeah, it would. Bigger than those ones, I would
Yeah.
say.
Hmm.
Wow.
Are you still paying student loans?
F you, Austin.
No, I'm just asking.
Yeah, I'll be paying them for the rest of my life, probably.
I'm still paying
That's
mine.
brazy.
That is brazy.
Are you
crazy.
not paying your student loans?
No, I'm almost done, dog.
What?
I went to the rural school.
Oh, yeah.
I-
He went to a tiny school.
I
with-
went to Iowa Western. I'm still paying mine.
They rub
Ooh.
2 sticks together and they say, you know what? That's payment for today.
Yeah, true.
Thank you.
I got this from Reddit, by the way. I'm going to give credit.
Oh, Nick, you stole a question.
That's okay.
This is an awesome question.
It's a great question.
But I get 1 wish and then I'm done.
One big one, or you can get 3 small ones every
Man,
day.
so the
But I
big
get
one,
3 small ones every
Every
day with
day?
no cap at like when it ends.
no cap.
It's just until you die, I guess.
I would take 3 small wishes.
So are we bad people for not like fixing the world?
No, because then it just creates more problems. We have problems because of problems. There will always be.
So wait,
problems.
you think if
we have
fix,
problems because of problems.
that's
Yeah.
a book idea. You fix world hunger, but it actually does something bad.
Yeah, then world obesity. Everyone's
World
fat.
obesity.
There was a book by Drew McGarry, friend of the Grum, called The Postmortal, where I don't remember the exact in on it because it's been 10 years since I read it, but they solved aging and nobody died anymore by natural causes.
Mhm.
But that it was bad for everything. Right?
Yeah.
You need that. Wow, world hunger is bad. That is a hot take
That
that
is a very
I
hot
should
take.
make a graphic with.
Yeah.
I think I'm going with the other one too. Like, not to save the world, but maybe, you know what? Maybe we got to go to hell if we're going to be people. But man, if I can get 3 like every day, I could be like, you know what? I don't want to spend money.
I would actually,
want a
like,
free meal.
I would even I know when I would use it too. I'd be like driving up to my commute or whatever. If I'm running like 2 minutes behind, I'd just be like, change that light to green.
Yeah.
Just give me a green light. I could
Well,
use that
I mean,
like
if
bang.
Nick says I can get a new microphone, like every time I need gas.
Yeah, I know.
And I'd be like, I want gas in my car.
Mhm.
And then I don't have to stop
Ooh.
by the gas station, which I hate and you love.
If I could ask for 30 less people in my gym when I go, it'd be great.
Oh, wow.
I love an empty gym. It's great.
What would happen to those people, though?
I need
don't
a
know,
new
they
pair
just
of running shoes.
Get
Boom.
dusted.
Running
Bang.
shoes. Nick, what are you going to do? You're doing the big thing. And what is the big thing?
I don't know if I'm doing the big.
Everyone has Androids.
Wow, Nick hates. Oh God,
could you imagine?
that
would cause problems.
Yeah. Oh, I'd be triggered.
So there's a lot of minor inconveniences that just happen in your day-to-day life that we just kind of put up with.
Ooh, one small wish. I would like this group chat to be blue.
Nice. Every day.
Every day.
So what's a small thing that every day happens to you that you hate?
Well, like I want food, and like I don't want to like go and get the food.
But you
right?
don't want to order Postmates.
Right. I can just be, oh, that's expensive, you know?
Sure,
if I can be like, I just want like a pizza from this local place that I like.
Boom,
here
and it's there on your couch.
And then I just have pizza. I have some za.
Couch pizza.
So you're just asking for like teleportation is what you're asking for. Kind of, more or less.
Yeah, Nick, I think you just, maybe that's what you want to invent, teleportation.
That could be my big wish. Can I invent teleportation, Genie?
Kenneth says, big wish, I would wish for unlimited money, then I buy whatever I would use my daily wishes for. Boom, done.
Nick using his 3 wishes for his 3 daily meals.
He's just doing breakfast, lunch, and dinner every time.
I'd like breakfast rice, please. And
wow,
rice.
unlimited money, though. But you're not a billionaire. It's just unlimited money. You just always have it.
Yeah.
Ooh, then I'm not a monster. Maybe I would do the big wish.
Ooh, small wish, I just find $100 bill on the ground every day.
Yeah, but $100 is a lot of money.
But again,
that's only $36,000
But you
a
get
year.
a $200 microphone every single day.
Yeah, but no, I just want to get it one day, and then every other day I get 3 more wishes.
I think that the small wishes is easily the way to go.
Man, but if you get unlimited
I don't
money,
care if I'm
then you're
selfish.
done. You are done. Then I can just solve all of my problems, not the world problems. We see what.
Well, you do have
billionaires are
unlimited
doing.
money. You could do whatever.
We have unlimited money.
Would you
People that
buy
are
a
trying to
team?
solve problems.
Would you buy an NFL team?
No.
Would you buy the Cowboys?
No, because Jerry wouldn't sell them. He wouldn't. Sell
I mean, you could wish
Can
for
you
it,
still
then
be
he
a
would.
fan of a team in which you own?
I wouldn't want to own them.
Because then it's a job.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to own them.
Okay.
I wouldn't want to do that.
Would you buy a rival and tank them?
Oh, hey, congratulations, Philadelphia Eagles. You have a new owner. Oh, that'd be awesome.
Josh Peterson has spent unlimited money on the Philadelphia
and then
Eagles.
the fans would find out who bought them, and they would be picketing, and it'd be like January 6th in Philadelphia every day.
You could
about
literally
me.
buy out everybody.
Yeah, and I would say something about Mike Pence if Mike Pence had the courage. All right.